So Dr. Gagandeep has done PhD in computational biology and bioinformatics from Central University of Himachal Pradesh.
Yeah.
And he is an expert in this field. And today I have invited him to give an overview of this field to the students so that they understand the importance of this in biotechnology and other relevant areas. So we welcome you, Dr. Gagandeep, for the talk. Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Dr. Gagandeep Singh. I have completed my master's degree in bioinformatics in the year 2010. After that, I have joined Indian Agriculture Research Institute as a bioinformatician. And then I shifted towards Jamia Millia Islamia in a project related to bioinformatics.
Just to interrupt you, sorry, your microphone is a little bit noisy. I don't know due to some reasons.
Let me fix that. No, it's okay?
Yeah, better than before. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh, I have joined Jamia Millia Islamia. Then I have joined as a PhD scholar at Central University of Himachal Pradesh with the collaboration of CSIR IHBT Palampur. And then I have completed my PhD in computational biology and bioinformatics. Uh, and then now I am taking lectures as a resource person at Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Jammu University, SMVDU, means based on need basis. Okay, today I'm here to talk about overview of computational biology and bioinformatics. First of all, what is bioinformatics? Actually, bioinformatics is the application of information technology to the management of biological data. From where this bioinformatics came? There was a lady named Dehoff. She is known as mother and father of bioinformatics. She is a pioneer in applying mathematics and computational methods to biochemistry. And from that time, bioinformatics start. And basically, bioinformaticians can understand the biological problems and they will provide the computational solutions to produce some useful tools. But first of all, I would ask some questions. There are all students are related to biological sciences.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Okay. Then, what do you mean by biology? This is my just one question. Means biology means when we start biology, we say that this is the study of life sciences. Then what is life? Means we should start from life. And the definition of life is basically to produce young ones like themselves. How? How the young ones are related to their parents? Means what are the things that are transferring that genetic material? What are the things? To assess those things at micro level, there is the huge importance of this field. And bioinformatics is the application by which we can use computational tools in order to assess and store the information of life sciences. What is the scope of bioinformatics in research? First of all, it uncovers the wealth of hidden biological information in the form of large-scale sequencing data, structural data, literature, and biological data. It covers mainly experimental molecular biology, genetics and genomics, and it also helps in generating some biological data in the form of markers that we study in SNPs, SSRs, and other. Then what is the expression of gene or protein? Then comparative analysis of genomic data, that from one organism to another, what are the common genes, what are the aspect of evolution, and it also helps in identifying some biological pathways and some networks in system biology. It is also helpful in simulation and modeling of DNA, RNA, and proteins. How? That I'll show you further. The main area of bioinformatics means where bioinformatics we can apply this bioinformatics in order to understand this biology. First of all, there is a huge need for the database development, then tool development. How? That I'll show you in another slide. Then structural biology, drug designing, next generation sequencing, data annotation, expression analysis of genes, protein-protein interaction network analysis, identification of pathways, annotation of uncharacterized data, and then system biology. First of all, I would like to tell you this database development. There are different types of databases from which we can take some sequences. Maybe everybody is aware of NCBI. Everybody is have used this NCBI for extracting the sequences. And first of all, what we need some sequences and to store those sequences, because in this current era of next generation sequencing, genome sequencing, transcriptome sequencing, RNA sequencing, and this metabolomics, we need to store those sequence information in some databases. If we directly take just sequence and put in a database, those databases are known as primary databases. But from primary database, when we extract some information and analyze that sequence, and then again we put that sequence with some information, that is considered as secondary database. And composite database, basically from one database to another, we can combine many databases and extract information and analyze that information. But mostly people don't know what is database. Basically, database is the collection of information. In biology, if we collect biological information for primary, secondary, and composite databases, those databases are known as biological databases. And bioinformatics, by using bioinformatics means there are some primary databases that are mostly used, that is European Molecular Biological Body, that is EMBL, DDBJ, GenBank. These are nucleic acid databases, SwissProt, Tramble, PIR. These are basically protein databases. And some information was extracted from these databases and analyzed and put in secondary databases, that is ProCyte, PFAM for protein families, then blocks and prints. These are the secondary databases. And there are some composite databases that some bioinformaticians has already developed, that are NRDB, OWL. Then first of all, what are the important tools that are already developed, and many other are in way. First of all, everybody is aware of this BLAST, basic local alignment search tool. Whenever we get any sequence, we go for BLAST analysis. This BLAST can compare one sequence with all available sequences, that what is the function of this raw sequence that is newly sequenced from a newly sequenced genome. Then we have to align that sequence as well. Then there are some tools like multiple tools, that is BioEdit, ClustalW, that comes under multiple sequence alignment category. And there are some tools like Botai. These are for mapping some expression analysis of genes. Then Mega for phylogenetic analysis, and one this is a software, Cytoscape, for the analysis of for viewing these protein-protein interaction networks, and PyMole for some structural analysis. These are basically basic tools that that bioinformatician use in daily life. But we need many further tools based on our idea, based on our research that we want to go for. Then there is a field known as structural biology. First of all, when we identify some sequence, the main thing is the protein that can express and initiate or inhibit the pathways. What is the structure of that protein? What is the primary structure of that protein that we can get from sequencing only? After that, what is the secondary structure and what is the location of that protein? In secondary structure, we can identify some alpha helix, beta sheets. We can easily track the secondary structure of that protein. And then for a tertiary structure, we have some methods known as homology modeling, comparative modeling, loop modeling. We can generate the tertiary structure of that protein as well, in order to see the stability of protein in the actual conditions. These are some structures that I have analyzed by using homology modeling and comparative modeling analysis, and I have validated these structures. These are basically tertiary structures, and we have validated these structures by using Ramachandran plots. And if this structure is in allowed region, this structure can be considered as pass. And there is a simulation of these structures by using some tools in order to see the stability of this structure in actual living conditions. Then we can use this structure for further processes like drug designing or any other thing. Then what is drug designing? Actually, there are several methods of drug designing. One is target-based drug designing, ligand-based drug designing, docking after designing the drug. Then there is a pharmacophore modeling, repurposing the drugs, and assessment of ADME properties. This is the last step. Actually, what is target-based drug designing? Whenever we have identified any protein and the active site of that protein, we know that there is a problem in this protein, then that is the target for drug designing. Then we have to identify the active site of that structure in order to design a drug that can bind that active site so that that protein can be non-functional, or whatever pathway we want to inhibit, we can design a ligand in order to bind the active site of that protein. And then ligand-based drug designing is basically when we have to design the ligand by using some softwares like Lig Builders in order to assess the binding pocket of the structure. Then docking is when we have designed our drug, we have to analyze that this is specific to that target or not. Then there are two types of docking. One is rigid and one is flexible. Rigid docking is basically when we try to fit that ligand in this structure, and flexibly when we give some parameters and try to watch that what are the side chains and other things that are accepting that ligand in order to bind the active sites. And pharmacophore modeling, there are several available drugs. We can use all those drugs in order to see the basically overall modeling of new drug, and we overlap all those structures if there is any change in structure for a new drug. And repurposing drugs, that is the new trend in this COVID situation. Many people are doing repurposing of drug by scanning the drug banks, and they are trying what kind of drug can already available drug in drug bank can bind this active site, newly identified drugs sites. And assessment of ADME properties means what are the criteria of adsorption, or there is any toxicity by the drug that we have designed. And then the main thing is, one is structural biology drug designing, and then is next generation sequencing data annotation. First of all, what is this next generation sequencing data? In the current era of genomic sequencing, there are some transcriptome sequences, some whole genome sequences projects are already in processing. Then where we have to store this data? There are many databases. We have to store some human genome project in UCSC, NCBI. We have a lot of data at NCBI, SRA database, that is Sequence Read Archive database. For a next newly sequencing data, we have to select some specific situations. This is the workflow chart for the analysis of next generation sequencing data based on transcriptome only, not whole genome. For whole genome, I'll show in another slide. This is basically transcriptome. I'm showing here 6 conditions, 3 related to biotic stress and 3 related to abiotic stress. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is basically transcriptomic data. Three experimental conditions are from biotic stress condition, 3 are from abiotic stress conditions. These are basically raw reads that we have just generated, and we have tagged them. This is the 1 condition, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Then we have assembled and filtered these all the experimental conditions in order to get some big sequences. Followed by this, we have functionally annotated these sequences that we got from sequencing data. And how to annotate these sequences? Firstly, we use this tool BLASTX by using the databases NCBI, non-redundant database, Arabidopsis database, that is there because this data is related to T only. And I have also explored this UniProt database and Gene Ontology database. Furthermore, our target was to identify some transcription factors. After functional annotation of those sequences, we use some tool that is based on hidden Markov models. We have used database plant transcription factor database in order to get some transcription factors. And finally, we have identified some novel proteins related to our research idea. This is basically the expression analysis. The previous 6 experimental conditions I have shown you. From each experimental condition, there may be some samples. Means for first abiotic stress, there are about 10 samples for one condition and 4 samples for second condition, and then again some 9 samples for third condition only in abiotic stress. And this is the basically expression analysis of abiotic stress for the same gene and expression analysis of biotic stress for the same gene. Means whenever there is a abiotic stress, what is the expression analysis of a gene at a particular stress condition at the particular temperature condition as well. Means we can identify the expression analysis of a noble gene, that is a gene of our interest, for any condition, and we can use the product as in the form of protein in order to find some drugs, whatever our need is. This is basically the expression analysis, and this is the flow chart. This is basically the visualization for the expression analysis by using TME tool. This is the basically protein-protein interaction network analysis from whole genome. I have selected T for this work. That's why I'll talk for T only and plants. We can implement this methodology in animals as well, in other organisms, microorganisms as well. First of all, we have extracted the genome of T, that is Camellia sinensis, and we have compared that genome with already available 49 other genomes in order to identify the orthologs of those genes. And there is a database string where the information about protein-protein interaction data of plant is available. And based on interlog-based protein-protein interaction network and domain-domain interactions, we have, means what is the interaction of one genome with other, one protein with other. We have identified orthologs and we have constructed a overall network of this genome. And from this genome, we have applied some statistical methods like Wittgenus, degree, eigenvector to identify the key proteins which are regulating the particular stress mechanisms of this plant. And we have selected some case studies like transcription factors, some pathways, or some based on some centralities. We have identified some novel genes. This is the genome-wide protein-protein network of T, where we have identified 12,033 nodes in 2,16,107 interactions with red color. This is red color of key proteins that are purple color. These are the key proteins that are novel proteins, that are mainly important proteins which are regulating the precious pathways in this T plant. And this paper is already in genomics and comes under a minor revision that has, I think, 6 impact factor right now. How to identify the pathways? Because bioinformatics deals with structural biology, drug designing, next generation sequencing based on transcriptomes, whole genome sequencing, and next step is what is the pathway which has been controlled by those genes that we have identified for our novel cause. We can use this KEGG database to identify the particular pathway. Here is a list of 5 main categories. We can identify pathways from metabolism, genetic information processing, environmental information processing, cellular processes, or organismal systems. For example, in metabolism, we can select some nucleotide metabolism, some carbohydrate metabolism. In genetic information, we can select this translation, transcription, whatever we need for our research work. And then environmental information, there may be what is the role of protein during high stress, what is the how many proteins are transporting through membrane, what is the signaling of that particular protein. And then cellular processes, there may be some cell growth, death, or transport, cell motility, means what is the role of these cellular processes during the particular condition. We have identified some proteins, and one protein can also go in, means one protein in metabolism can also go to genetic processing, that can be helpful in environmental information or organismal system. Here in this slide, or in organismal system, we can identify some immune system related genes that are very crucial, because immune system is very crucial for every living organism. If there is any encounter of bacteria, fungal, how many genes are expressing during any attack of pathogen, then here is a need of expression of immune related genes, so that to counter the attack of that pathogen. Hence we can identify the pathways by using KEGG database, but we have to identify some novel genes, and then we can identify the pathway of those genes, means how many pathways these genes are controlling. Then this is the workflow chart for the functional inference of hypothetical proteins. Here, first of all, I'll like to tell you what are hypothetical proteins. Although our technology is far advanced, everything is in order, but the main thing is, whenever there is a newly available genome sequence, 50% data can be annotated and 50% data is still uncharacterized. Means we are unable to know any information related to 50% data in every genome sequencing. Either in human, either in plants, 50% data is still uncharacterized. And that uncharacterized data is annotated as hypothetical proteins, means we don't know anything about these proteins. Here, by using bioinformatics terms, we have tried to annotate that data as well. First of all, as I am working on T, I was working on T, but here we have identified the data which is hypothetical. And we have tried to identify the signature sequences of the proteins. Signature sequences means what are the functional part of those sequences. Means only those sequences present in whole sequence in a single protein, what are the important bases, or what are the important amino acids that can have any function. There are some databases like NCBI CDD, that is conserved domain database, ScanProSite, InterProScan, PFAM, or SCOPE superfamily. They can provide us the information about signature sequences. Whenever we have identified these signature sequences, we can say maybe this hypothetical protein has the particular function basis on the basis of conserved sequence or signature sequence. Then we can label it the predicted function of that protein. But that is a predicted, we have not verified till now. Then we have to identify the pathway of these proteins on the basis of only these signature sequences. We can use again KEGG for pathway analysis and gene ontology annotation. Then for plants, that is AgriGeo. For animals, there may be some Gorilla and other tools. And the next step is to characterize those sequences on the basis of physiochemical characterization. Physiochemical characterization means what is the what is the weight of that protein, what is the aliphatic index of that protein, what is the Gravy index of that protein. We can use several tools for identification of the location of that protein. We can use this HMM-TOP, Signal-P, Target-P, Silo, many databases to identify the localization of those proteins. But for characterization, we have to use this PROT-PRM tool. Then here is the interlogous based protein-protein interaction network analysis. Means The network that I have shown you in previous slide, that is the genome byte protein-protein interaction network. And now we have identified some hypothetical proteins based on their conserved domains. We try to map these proteins on overall protein-protein interaction network, and we have already identified several hypothetical proteins that are really hidden proteins, but they have particular function related to stress conditions. And followed by that, we have predicted structure of those proteins by using homology modeling, and we have also examined the expression analysis of those hypothetical proteins. For those hypothetical proteins, their information is actually null in this database. And we have estimated the expression analysis of hypothetical proteins, and we have proposed these novel proteins which are thought to be useless, but they have important role for the life of this plant. Then a thing comes system biology. Under system biology, there are some cell cycle proteins, there may be some circadian rhythms, there may be some other cycles that are daily, we are going to do on daily basis. There is in plants, there is a system like mitochondria, the chloroplast, means these are interacting with one another, and there is a build up full system, how these systems work, that we try to identify some cell cycle proteins based on literature, means already available cell cycle proteins, and we try to identify these proteins in tea plant, and we have mapped these proteins in all available plant genomes. As I'm working on plants, that's why I have selected only plant genomes. And based on Cluster Omega, that is alignment tool, based on Cluster Omega, on the basis of algorithm hidden Markov's model, we have scanned the proteins in T genome, and we have identified some proteins related to circadian rhythm and cell cycle. Followed by that, we have identified the pathway of those proteins that we have identified in T in circadian, but pathway related to circadian rhythms and cell cycles. Then there is a functional annotation, means which protein has what kind of function in circadian rhythm. We have identified several proteins, and also we try to model those proteins, means what is the structure of these proteins and what is the stability of these proteins in this system, means in this particular system like cell cycle and circadian rhythm. This is the basically genome regulatory network for circadian rhythm in T. Means we have identified the expression analysis of various genes. First of all, this is basically in circadian rhythms. We have identified some proteins related to circadian rhythm. Then we have seen the expression of those proteins, and we were able to identify some proteins they are expressing in morning time, some in night time, some in particular conditions, some are inhibiting based on pathway analysis, and we have proposed this circadian rhythm in T as well. These are basically the key fields: next generation sequencing, structural biology, system biology, and protein-protein interaction network that every bioinformatician is doing. And that is, these are the publications that I have done for after doing this basic work only that I am presenting today. This is the genome byte interaction network. Then this is other is in Tulsi and several other publications that I have done this basic work only, and I have published some papers based on this work only. Some hypothetical proteins here, and that is the main overview.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gagandeep.
If you have any question, any queries, yeah, you can ask me.
Okay, so are there any questions from the students who are listening? Actually, they are basically, I think, undergraduate students, so they don't know at the research level. But for them, I just wanted you to explain, like, how to, start this field of bioinformatics. Like, if they want to read, then where to start, and what are the softwares they would need, and what are the databases that they should look into. So all those basic, yeah.
Okay. First of all, if you are, they are all are undergraduate students only.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Okay. for undergraduate students, if they are going to do any internship or they want to learn bioinformatics just for their overview, I think first of all they should explore the databases like NCBI, that is NCBI, National Center for Biotechnology Information. Here at NCBI, we have submitted several data like in the form of proteins, in the form of nucleotides, in the form of genomes, in the form of transcriptomes. There is an option of all database from where you can select protein and you can name, means you can use NCBI. First of all, I will suggest some names, then you can explore by yourself, I think. First of all, you should explore NCBI, then BLAST, then UniProt. These are basic databases that every student can easily explore.
So can you just give one example, like suppose they go to the NCBI web site, then how do they start like working on it?
1 minute, ma'am. I'll open my new tab. If that is visible, please tell me.
Yeah.
Is this visible?
Yeah.
This is basically National Center for Biotechnology Information, and the link for this is ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. This is the first database that you should use. Here is the option all database. Now, what is our target? What we want to extract actually? If we need any protein, any nucleotide, genome related data, gene related data, or any other data. For example, I am selecting protein. Okay. And what kind of protein we need? For example, if we select some hemoglobin protein, CFTR proteins only. Here we get 15,204 proteins of CFTR only. If we have to go some specific that CFTR from animals, plants, fungi, we can select as well. But how to extract the sequence of CFTR? This is the first sequence of cystic fibrosis transmembrane, that is from. This is basically the first protein. We have to select FASTA. Is it visible, FASTA?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can select FASTA. The sequence is here. And we should select this sequence from greater than sign followed by the name of and till end. But this sequence is already annotated. Means after sequencing, this sequence is already annotated and submitted in NCBI. But if we get any new sequence without any information, we should use BLAST. For example, I'll show you here. This is a tool, BLAST. BLAST is basic local alignment search tool. We have selected protein, thus we have to go for a PBLAST. Basically, PBLAST is protein blast, nucleotide blast. We have to go for a protein blast. And this is the BLAST P, and here we have to enter the sequence. I'll remove the name of this sequence, and for example, I'll name it ABC. I have removed the name of this sequence and we'll go for BLAST. Now what we want, if we don't know any information about this sequence, we have to go for this under a database, non-redundant protein sequences, or protein data bank, or UniProt, whatever our need. But right now I am selecting non-redundant protein sequences, means whatever information is available, please give me results. and I'll go for blast. After few minutes, blast will give me the result of this sequence. In the meantime, I'll also try to select few more sequences. For example, one sequence from this, second sequence, third sequence, fourth sequence. Let me try for these 4 to 5 sequences. One sequence, 2, 3, and 4. Blast is still running, and I'll do some cluster multiple sequence alignment.
So, like in the case of the coronavirus,
Yeah.
this multiple sequence alignment would be very useful to understand the new sites of the virus, right?
Multiple sequence alignment can tell us about the this mutational sites that mutation. What is the mutation? Because coronavirus was firstly identified in 1965, but now this is a mutant strain of COVID-19. This is actually a mutant strain where the mutation occur that we can identify by using. We can easily identify by using this multiple sequence alignment tool. Means what is the location of that particular sequence where is a mutation. Means we have to select only in FASTA format. I'll show you. This is very small sequence. No problem, man. Again, I'll do because this sequence only 30 amino acid and 18. So
Okay.
some big. Because yeah, this is the blast result. After that, I'll show you these other things. This is the blast result for a sequence that we have provided. I have named the sequence ABC. After comparing from whole available data, this has given us some results that 100% query coverage with the main sequence cystic fibrosis, then followed by these, it has given us many other results. This sequence is similar with other proteins as well in Homo sapiens. This is basically blast result basis on e-value, query coverage, and percentage identity. We can annotate a particular sequence with unknown function by using this blast only. For graphic summary, this is basically how many sequences are alike with our sequence, that is 100%. And for alignments, our sequence is aligning with other sequences. This is basically alignment of our query with the subject that has resulted in first line. Now I'll show some other proteins, multiple sequence alignment of proteins. We have to select the sequence only in FASTA format. This is the first sequence, and then enter. Sequence, See here, we have selected only three sequences. Now, ma'am, you are asking about this coronavirus now?
Yeah.
Yeah. See here, two sequences almost same, but third sequence is separate in these results.
So,
Means here, yeah, please.
so is this the coronavirus result or it's just the CFTR?
No, ma'am. This is actually CFTR result, but by selecting coronavirus proteins as well from previous strain, from current strain, from all available strains of coronavirus, we can select the proteins and we can match those proteins by using this cluster W in order to identify the particular location of mutation.
Okay.
Yeah, means where mutation occurs, we can identify that site by using this tool.
Okay. Okay. So are you working on the coronavirus right now? Anything?
Yes, ma'am. I am working on mRNA-based vaccines of coronavirus.
Okay. So if some students would be interested to do internship, would you support them?
In coronavirus only.
No, I mean in this computational biology and
Yeah,
bioinformatics.
ma'am. I'll
Actually,
support
some
them.
students also from our institute and from outside, they want to learn this technique, and some
Uh,
want to do internships. So, like, I was looking forward for that.
Ma'am,
Let
actually, there are two to three things. First thing is, what is the interest of a candidate? He is interested in next generation sequencing data handling, either in structural biology, either in protein-protein interaction networks, or there means what is the idea? Basically, these all fields are separate in bioinformatics.
yeah, that
Because
is
that one on this next generation sequencing is only based on the expression analysis of proteins. Means if there is any mutation, expression analysis maybe stop, maybe enhance. That
yeah,
is the one field, that is next generation sequencing, and it is also based on the particular condition, particular time. Means from currently you are in Pune.
yeah,
Yeah, I am in Jammu and Kashmir. In our environmental conditions are also separate. For a particular plant in Pune and Jammu, maybe there is a difference in expression analysis of proteins as well.
yeah.
Yeah. So what they want, if anybody is interested in designing drugs, that is based on structural biology and drug designing. If anybody wants to analyze the huge data like genomes, transcriptomes, to identify some genes for for to in order to go for transgenic field, and for protein interaction field, that is plant pathogen interaction, animal pathogen interactions, protein interactions. I can help very easily for that, but for that we need some workstations.
Okay,
Means workstations means computational power is important in order to those projects. If anybody has some 16 GB RAM, because for currently I have just used only three sequences and very small sequences. It has, I think, 2 to 3 minutes. But when you have 1 lakh sequences, 90,000 sequences, then you should need a workstation so that they can easily do. That is the next generation. For next generation sequencing, you need the heavy workstations. But for structural biology and drug designing, a normal laptop can easily work.
yeah. And are there any softwares that we can install in the PC where the simulation and in silico work can be done?
Ma'am, PC means workstation or your only laptop?
No, no. PC means the computer, the desktop.
But for simulation studies, if you can easily install, but there are chances for to crash that PC if its processors are not means processors should be i8, or there may be latest processors, and memory and this RAM should be above 16 GB. If it is less than 16 GB, and if you try to simulate the then it may crash. But the name of software, I'll suggest you GROMAX.
Okay.
GROMAX is the name of software. You can easily predict the structure of a protein, and you can simulate the stability of that structure. Also, you can dock the drugs if you have. and you can generate drugs, and you can again check the stability of those drugs by using GROMACS. But note one thing, the memory of the system should be high.
But is this not available on the site? Like, do we have to download this software, or on the site also this work can be done?
No, no, ma'am. This is not an online tool. This is basically a computational tool.
Okay.
For online tool, which is known as bioinformatics, but for a computational tool, we need, first of all, we need the operating system as Linux.
Yeah.
We need operating system Linux, and we have to install this GROMACS, and there are some command line prompts, and we have to use those commands, and then we have to wait for few days for a single structure with at least 100 amino acids. In my lab, it will take at least 3 days for one structure to simulate in a big workstation.
Okay.
If you skip that step, simulation, we can easily model the structures of proteins and check the protein, if that protein is pass or fail on the basis of some online tools as well.
Okay. So
And
I
there
think
is
yeah, please go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
And there are several places like IIT Delhi and maybe other places. They are giving us some remote access of their supercomputers. We can easily use the their space in order to simulate our structures as well.
Okay. So as such, we do not have the problem of the memory, because that can be taken care of. Because here also in our institute, there are CSC is there, computer science engineering.
Okay.
So they are actually software professionals. They work on AI and machine learning and all those things. So I don't think so that data would be a problem. That is adjustable. Only thing is that some guide would be required for these students, that uh, they know how to move ahead in this direction. So that's why just I wanted you to give an introduction on the topic and what are the uses, how they can do it. So
Ma'am,
I think a little bit, yeah.
for that I need to talk with students what is their area of interest and
Yeah.
what they can do with their idea in bioinformatics. Because that is
Right.
really very important. If anybody is professional in programming, if any in IT, if other one that is willing only in using softwares, that is basically I need to know, and then we can easily start. No problem, ma'am. I can guide.
Okay, thank you so much. So your way of explanation was also really nice. I mean, you explained step by step very well. So I think the students must have followed a little bit, since they are just beginning to study. I don't know if they have actually studied all these things. They are in second or third year of graduation. So some have started studying bioinformatics this year, and some have not yet started. So they are learning Python, and
Okay, yeah. I
yeah.
think they should focus on Perl. Perl is more important in bioinformatics field.
Pearl.
Perl language is very important for
Okay.
any computational analysis in bioinformatics field. For any gene expression, I need Perl. Means I am working on Perl. For Python is also good, but Perl can easily handle the data. But for Python, we can use
Okay.
any language we can
Yeah.
use, but for biologists, Perl is very easy language.
Okay. All right. So we will also like learn from you how to use all these things.
Okay,
And
madam.
like today the students were having a real busy day. So like I think very few people were able to attend this. Some have already been gone to other places. And if these students would be interested, then I'll just communicate with you, and
Okay,
you can guide them, and we will talk over phone later on and see what are the mutual interests.
okay, ma'am.
So let us thank you for your nice presentation and exhaustive explanation, and
Thank you
thank
so
you very
much.
much for giving your precious time to guide the
Okay.
students. I hope this will be helpful for all of them. And
If you
yeah,
have any question later, you can again ask
sure.
me.
I will definitely contact you, and we will be working together in collaboration. So if the students are having any questions, you can ask Dr. Gagandeep. He's expert in this area, so he will be able to guide you in a better way. Without any hesitation, you can ask one or two questions to him. And
And if anybody is interested in knowing about the job scope of bioinformatics,
yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. This is the emerging field, and there is a lot of scope in bioinformatics. Recently, my 4 students, they went abroad for PhD because bioinformatics is very important in biochemistry, chemistry. Some went in chemoinformatics by using chemicals, biochemistry, then some in human genomes, others in plants. And also I was selected in this evolutionary biology at Australia, but due to corona crisis I am stuck in India. Means there is a huge demand of bioinformatics in abroad and in India as well, because in every CSIR, for every biotechnology, for every biotechnologist, he need a person with bioinformatics background, because to analyze his data, this is the current era of data, how to handle that data, it's really difficult for biologists.
yes. And also in a situation like this, when everything was in lockdown, so this was the only field where people can sit at home and work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So that
yeah.
is also one
In this,
advantage
yeah,
being
yeah,
in this field.
in this lockdown only, I am able to publish 2 papers in 6 impact factor. That is really a
That's
huge
what I'm
impact.
saying. For you people, this was a boon.
Yeah.
Okay, then let us
Any
end here.
question? Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Any
Yeah,
question you can ask me?
these people are, yeah, they are a little bit hesitant to ask, but later on, if they have any question, I will pass it on to you. And
Okay.
okay, so thank you very much for giving your time. Have a
Thank you.
good
Thank you
day.
so much. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.